Following Wednesday's 12th day of fall camp, Coach Riley kind of intimated that there's a problem with the depth with the defensive line. Let me just say this. He does have a problem, but not all problems are created equally.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you are watching this show on YouTube right now, wherever you want to download this podcast right now, this show is always going to be free. This show is always going to appreciate your support. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season, yep, it's right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Yes, Coach Riley has a problem. He has too much depth inside on the defensive line. Like I said, not all problems are created equal, right? This is a good problem to have. It's what we call rich people problems. It's kind of crazy when you're talking about defense, Lincoln Riley, rich people problems. We've arrived. Following USC's 12th practice, Coach Riley talked about how important this week is for the guys on the roster, for the coaching staff as well. Next week is mock game week, and then you're into game week. Today, you're watching this episode, we're 16 days away from beat the Bears. Missouri State opens the season at the Coliseum. This is the week, though, where the guys are trying to kind of just secure their spots, lock in their place in the rotation, give the coaching staff some hard decisions to make, right? That's what's going on this week. Coach Riley said, especially the interior of the defensive line, I think it'll be kind of interesting to see. A couple of those guys have been limited in different points. They're all healthy and able to go now, though. Seeing more of those guys here at the end, kind of all of them, I think is going to be the key, end quote. So, my everydayers, we know about the 700 pounds that USC imported from Kentucky and from Georgia. Keyshawn Silver from Kentucky, Jamal Jarrett from Georgia. You also got Kobe Pepe, Devin Tompkins, Jade Abasiri. Getting everyone who's healthy playing time, it's going to take some creative scheming. That's the problem that Coach Riley and Coach Lynn and Coach Henney and Coach Newell are facing right now. One of the nice things, the nice parts of the problem, if that's how we want to talk about it, is the versatility that you have with players like Jade Abasiri, Devin Tompkins. They can play inside. They can play that 3 technique defensive tackle, but they can also slide outside, play defensive end. So depending on the personnel that's lining up across the line of scrimmage, USC, they can use their go big formation, their lineup, or they can mix it up a little bit. For instance, Anthony Lucas, and you can go with either Jade Abasiri or Devin Tompkins on the outside. You got Keyshawn Silver, Kobe Pepe on the inside. That's a big front 4. So Anthony Lucas, one side, maybe he's your edge rusher. And then you've got Abasiri or Tompkins at your strong side defensive end. And then you slide Silver and Pepe in the middle to clog up the lanes. What about putting Jaw Jarrett and Silver together? Jaw Jarrett and Kobe Pepe together. Yeah, you're getting big. But again, there's a lot of different combinations that they can go with. What if you want to put your speed package out there, so to speak? You put Braylon Shelby on one side of the defensive line. You put Cameron Fountain on the other side of the defensive line. Now, if you want to go fast, Jade, Devin, inside with those two. Okay, that would work. Again, there's a lot of versatility. And that's one of the things that Coach Lynn recruits for. He talked about it when he took over as defensive coordinator. He likes to be able to run personnel out there where you don't have to substitute depending on down and distance. Guys can just maybe shift, move around a little bit, depending on the situation. And then I didn't even mention the freshmen. You've got Jakeem Stewart, right? You've got Floyd Boucard with his elite feet. Two more guys that you can play inside. I think that's where Jakeem's going to eventually end up. Remember, he's still growing. He's a young man, very young man. This should be his senior year of high school. So this is not a problem, okay? This is the way it's supposed to be at USC. The defensive line room has the most depth, but that doesn't mean it's the only room with guys that are competing for playing time right now. So Coach Riley kind of focused in a little bit after practice, talking about the defensive line and the challenges of finding playing time for everybody. Again, that's a great problem to have. I think Friday's scrimmage it's going to tell a lot. The offensive line, okay, kind of just flipping to the other side of the line of scrimmage. That the offensive line, I think you need to start getting the five that are going to be the starters. You kind of have to finalize it. I think the scrimmage will be maybe where the coaches, all right, they go into the real cone of silence and say, all right, let's make the decision. We're going to go into mock game week. Who's our starting five? So I think you want to use the last 2 weeks of camp. Really, this is the last week of fall camp. As I said, next week, mock game week, and the week after that, you're right into game week, Missouri State. So use these last couple weeks to get the chemistry going. Figure out which five you think are going to be your starters, and I don't want to say stop with the experimenting, but let's get some consistency going. I do think the starting offensive line will look one of two ways. If the game was played tomorrow, I think you're going to have Elijah Page, and I'm going left to right. Elijah Page, left tackle. Micah Benuelos, left guard. John Ray Reed at center. Alani Noah at right guard. Tobias Raymond, right tackle. Or because, I have talked about this, you maybe have Page left tackle. Maybe you shift Tobias Raymond to left guard. If it's not John Ray Reed at center, you still got Killian O'Connor. He talked after practice as well. Alani Noah at right guard. I really do think that's going to be the guy. Is Kalon Miller pushing? Absolutely. I still think you go with a guy who's been starting there for the previous 2 years. And then if you move Tobias Raymond to left guard, that probably means they like what Justin Toanu is doing at right tackle. And then don't forget, third option, we got to wait, but DJ Wingfield, he came over. Everyone thought he was going to be the presumptive starter at left guard. Then he ran into some eligibility issues. We'll know his fate on the 18th. So on Monday, August 18th, DJ Wingfield and a couple of other players who were in a similar situation, they go in front of the federal court judge to hear their fate. Hopefully we'll know. Hopefully he's going to get that year of eligibility. Here is the big difference for me between the defensive line and the offensive line. Coach Henney, Coach Nua, their group, they have more depth with experience. That's the difference compared to Zach Hansen's offensive line room. He has the depth, just not the experience. Now, after practice, Wednesday, the 12th practice of fall camp, if you had a chance to listen to Elijah Page, he made it sound like right now Micah Benuelos is going to be the starter. He's the front runner right now at left guard. He said, quote, mentally, he said, Mike is killing it. Mike is doing a great job with communication, with on-the-field play. Everything he's doing, he's attacking it like a pro. He's putting it all out there. He's putting it all in the film room. He's doing everything he can to be the best player, end quote. There's other position group battles as well, not just the guys in the trenches. I've talked about the need at wide receiver. A few guys need to separate themselves from the pack. And I think cornerback is the other position group. That's the other spot that's, I'm using finger quotes, unsettled. Overall, though, Coach Riley after practice kind of summed it up this way with what they're looking for. At times here, it's been trying to figure it out because you're not sure you've got quite enough in the tank. I don't really feel that at these positions, it's more just sitting through how you're going to play guys, how you're going to rotate them, who's going to play in what personnel, and then just seeing who's playing the most consistently, end quote. I think Coach Riley understands. He's got a couple of SEC type of cupcakes to open the season, Missouri State, Georgia Southern. And I think they're probably approaching this like, you know what, we've got an extended fall camp. We can kind of tinker around with things during those first two games as well. And I said it on this week's episode of Inside the Trojan Huddle over there at wearc.com. When you're done with this episode, go check it out. It's up there. Coach Riley and the staff, I said they should use the last 20 minutes of the first two games, of the actual playing time, the last 5 minutes of the third quarter, and the entire fourth quarter, 20 minutes. Against Missouri State, against Georgia Southern, get the guys that you just need to get some more looks at. Get those backups a lot of real playing time. Kind of like what you did against Utah State last year. That, I guess, if you're looking for the benefit of playing two really, really, really easy games to open the season, SEC type style of scheduling, you take advantage of it. You get your backups as much playing time as possible. Because remember, you can play up to 4 games before you have to decide on any type of redshirting, and you can split that up wherever you want during the season. Excuse me. So I think those first 2 games of the year, you're going to see a lot of musical chairs, a lot of rotating, a lot of shifting, especially if USC is beating those teams like a drum, like they should be. I got a couple more segments to go here. We're checking the rundown. I mentioned USC had their 12th day of fall camp. I got some notes and quotes we're going to talk about from practice. And then the third segment. Guess what? The Trojans found some positive words. They're in a poll. They're top 20. Talk about that coming up next. August 26th is officially, again, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason punches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, maybe you're ready to crown the Super Bowl champ right now, before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I'm going to go on the limb. My preseason MVP of the NFL in 2025, Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver. Visit FanDuel today. Check out the app. Start planning your futures bets now, because Future Day is only one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. So there was a couple of interesting things from day 12, fall camp. Last week, I mentioned, remember? Not last week, early, yeah, it was last week. Eric Gentry, he was one of a couple of guys who were missing from practice. It was last Friday. Well, he was back at practice. He was participating. And so was the other missing member of that day, whose name was not mentioned by Coach Riley. So I'm not going to be able to mention it. But because I kind of put it out there, it looked like everyone is back. Everyone that we know, Prophet Brown is not going to be available. It looks like Eric Gentry is just going to be fine. So Coach Riley did say, when we asked about it, he said, look, it's a nothing burger. Don't worry. He was right. Now, the media is still limited with what we're allowed to see, what we're allowed to talk about. But something else that caught the media's attention was Walter Matthews. he was hanging out with the offensive line group. At least that's what, we saw him out there. I know there's some of you out there. Eric McKinney, my partner in crime over there at wearesc.com, he thinks Walter Matthews should be a left tackle. You look at him, he just oozes, 6'6", 285 pounds, long arms. If we're being honest, he looks like an offensive tackle. So we'll see what happens, because he has that perfect frame. However, okay, not trying to get anybody's hopes up saying that we're making a position change. This was going on when we saw him over there. This is when they were doing the run blocking stuff. And he was lined up outside the tackle. He was holding one of those blocking pads. So he could just be, working on some offensive tackle, tight end, tandem type of stuff, timing, getting footwork down. I don't want anybody to say, we're making a position switch. We don't know what's going on. When they kick the media out, that's when the real stuff happens. If that went on, or, it could be start of something. Maybe, who knows, if this is a slow, gradual move from tight end to left tackle, offensive line. Again, he has the frame, 6'6", 285. Let me give you a not so recent example, but remember Jacob Rogers came to USC out of Oxnard? He came to USC as a tight end. And he left USC as a second-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys tackle. So as he's got Walter Matthews, if they're making that switch, he's got time to literally get himself ready. He's a redshirt freshman. He's still a young pup. Jacob Rogers, as a senior, this was back in 2003, so it was 20 years ago. Man, time flies. Wow, 22 years ago. Oof, man. So he was Jacob Rogers ended up being one of the country's top offensive tackles. He won the Morris Trophy. He was first team All Pac-10. He was consensus first team All-American. So Walter Matthews, if you're listening, think about it. Think about it. That's all we're saying. Again, I'm not saying he's moving to the offensive line. I'm just pointing out the comparison that has been done before very successfully. We know Jaden Mayava, he is going to be the topic of every practice. Coach Riley talked about him afterwards. He said, quote, he's practiced really well. He's practicing at a high level. We're pretty picky. He could go 30 for 30 for 500 yards and 8 touchdowns, and we'd find a bunch of stuff wrong with it. It's not always result-oriented. It's more just continuing to improve his grasp, his decision-making, ... There's not anything right now that he's not doing well. But just like everybody out here, we want him to keep going, end quote. I mentioned in the first segment the wide receivers. Guys, trying to separate, find a role. Guys like Jay Fair, Xavier, DJ Jordan, Prince Strawn, Zacharias Williams, Josiah Zamora, just to, name some of the veteran guys. Coach Riley actually talked about Jaden Mayava with regards to working with the wide receivers. He talked about how Jaden already has a pretty good idea what Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane are going to do. He understands their tendencies, but Jaden's still learning the nuance, the tendencies of, the newer guys, the guys that I just mentioned, like Prince Strawn, Zacharias. He's still, becoming familiar with Jay Fair. So how do those wide receivers, attack different coverages? How do they like to set up their routes, different throws, all that type of stuff? The gray area. Again, this is what we call nuance. It's the stuff that you don't talk about a lot, but it's the fine line between doing things great and just going through the motion. So this is what the quarterbacks and wide receivers are often working on after practice, getting their timing down with their routes, That's where you're looking for. All right, if it's a slant, how hard does the player cut? Does the wide receiver have a tendency to maybe round it a little bit, or do they make that hard corner cut, that type of stuff? So he's still learning the tendencies of guys he's just not as familiar with. If you're an everydayer of this show, you've heard me talk about this a couple of times. In fact, a couple of times recently. I said I'd love to see Makai Lemon take some of the stuff off of his plate, particularly at punt return, just to save some of that wear and tear on his body. You know, if he's going to be doing it full time, do you want him doing it full time because he's so valuable as a wide receiver? Well, he's just as valuable as a special teams player. And Coach Riley said he isn't concerned too much about, you know, the effect that it would have on his superstar. Look, hey, I get it. I think Makai Lemon, and I talked about it, he's like a dark horse Heisman contender. I put him in that same category as a Rocket Ishmael, wide receiver, special teams returner. And it's because of what he does on special teams that I would say, yeah, you know, don't be surprised if you see Makai in New York. So Coach Riley said this: punt returner is one of the most important things on the field. So there's nothing that anybody would do that would keep us from playing him, Makai, at punt returner. That's just one of those priority spots. He's a natural with it. End quote. Coach Riley also confirmed what my eyes have been telling y'all. Zacharias Williams, he's also in the mix for that job. Quote, that's maybe one of the most important jobs. Obviously, fielding it, making those critical decisions of when do I catch it, when do I not catch it, when do I fair catch it, end quote. And I just want to remind everybody, the reason why Makai Lemon took over and dominated at punt return and kick return is because Zachariah Branch kept fair catching the ball, and he still had 10, 12 yards of cushion in front of him. No pressure. Or there was other times he would let the ball hit the ground, and now all of a sudden you're giving up field position. He just seemed so indecisive back there, whether it was kick return, punt return. It got to the point where Coach Riley said, Makai, you're in. Strap it up. Just let me give you some numbers to kind of tie a bow on that. USC was number 7 in the nation in punt return in 2023. Then all of a sudden that dropped to number 99 in the country last year. But when Lemon took over, USC moved from number 98 in kickoff return, number 98, 99, whatever, in 2023, all the way up to number 27 in the country last year. That's a significant jump. All right. So Makai Lemon, punt return, kick return, we'll find out who's going, we'll know during those first 2 games if anybody else is going to be able to wrestle away that from him. If it happens, that's when it will happen in those first 2 games. So the team's back out at Thursday for practice. I won't be there. However, I will be there Friday in the Coliseum for the scrimmage. And I'll have a pretty good idea at that time what to anticipate 2 weeks later. That's when the lights will be on in the second half. Yeah. USC, Missouri State, August 30th. Not that far away, folks. One more segment to go. We're going to talk about, USC. They're getting some love from somebody who typically a lot of people thought did not like USC. Talk about the Josh Pate poll. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into the routine you love. And Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, doesn't matter which room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home. They have something for everyone, every style. You need some bed sheets or a duvet? Wayfair, they've got something for you. I know your significant other, she'll find something that she thinks will enhance her room. And check it out. Don't get stressed out. With Wayfair, you get fast, free shipping with whatever you're looking for, big or small. Get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things for your home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. So we know the coaches who don't watch the games, who vote in the coaches poll, they have preseason USC number 29. And then you've got the biased AP poll, the voters over there who love the SEC. They threw 10 teams in there. They got USC number 30 to start the season. Now, here's the thing. If you compare both preseason polls, they're similar to each other. It's almost like, well, the coaches poll came out first, so the AP writers said, oh, what did they put? Well, that looks good. Let's do that. Josh Pate, he sees USC a lot differently in 2025. I like Josh. I think he's got that personality. It's the sarcasm, just his delivery, the way he likes to push buttons. I think he and I are very similar when it comes to that. I've been told that I tend to I can come off a little arrogant. As I said, there's a fine line between arrogance and competence in the eye of the beholder. You think I'm arrogant? I'm okay with that. I can live with it. Anyways, Josh Pate, he likes USC in 2025. Excuse me. He unveiled his preseason JP poll on his college football show. He hosts his own show. Really good. Check it out. And when he did his show on Tuesday earlier this week, he had USC open up number 15 in the nation in the JP poll. And the JP poll is based on a neutral field favorability. It's to be taken as a power ratings, not as a power ranking. And as he puts it, it isn't a prediction for where teams will end the season. It's just where they are today, right now. So what he's saying is that games were played, say, in Las Vegas, neutral field. He likes USC's chances a lot. I think what USC did to LSU on a neutral field, what USC did to Texas A&M on a neutral field, and then how close USC was to winning on the road, I think that while that may have left a bitter taste in USC fans' mouths. No, I'm not talking about the Las Vegas trips. I'm talking about the games in between those two games. That left a bitter taste. But we know that USC lost close games that they should have won. They had leads in the fourth quarter. So this is what Josh had to say. I can't believe this, as he spoke about the Trojans. I can't believe we're in a place where just 2 years ago, one of the harshest allegations thrown our way, he's talking about that Josh Pate, was that we were a USC hater show. The model hated USC. The computer itself had a personal vendetta against USC. My, how the tables have turned. Here we are with USC at number 15. Where are they in the AP? They're not even ranked. End quote. So something that Josh really likes about USC, and it's something that we've been talking about a lot during this offseason. I talked about it in the first segment. He likes USC's defensive staff. He likes how USC elevated their defense in 1 year with Antonlynn. We know how crappy they were on defense in 2023. They gave up over 34 points per game. Last year, 24 points per game. That's significant improvement. I don't care what the other individual stats say. Somebody's trying to argue with me that USC wasn't good on third downs last year. Yes, they were. They were like top 20, number 21 in the country on third down stops. So again, don't give me all the other stuff. Those are the important stats are, can you get off the field on third down? Yes. And how many points are you giving up at the end of the game? That's really what's important. Yes, other stats are as well, but I'm cherry picking the ones that I think are most important. So as he said, the JP model expects another healthy scale up this year. There are worlds, believe it or not, where your Lincoln Riley-led USC Trojans will win a game or two defensively. And then you put in the word gasp. Yeah. Like I said, I like him because of his sarcasm. Love it. He also compared USC's potential in 2025 to what Tennessee did last year on its way to the college football playoff. He said that was a volunteer program with an offensive coach expected to put up big numbers on that side of the ball. And they finished number 6 in total defense and number 7 in scoring defense. So can USC make that jump? Last year, again, 24 points per game. Take out those stupid pick sixes that Miller Moss and Jaden Mayava threw. USC's defense gave up 21 points per game. In today's era of college football, that's good. Now, improve on that. Get into that 15 to 20 points per game, 15 to 18 points given up. Now you've got a championship level defense. Quote, the JP model thinks that Antonlynn and company on defense should carry them at times for stretches if needed. Line of scrimmage talent on both sides has progressed, and therefore, from a neutral field favorability rating, what a world, we've got USC number 15. I'm sure that won't create any discussion whatsoever. End quote. Dripping with sarcasm. So, look, Josh is saying what myself and many others have been saying. Like I said, USC's defense made such a huge improvement last year. In 1 year, it's probably going to take an even bigger step in year 2 with Antonlynn, his scheme, more talent, better talent. I mean, logic says buy USC. So that's why Josh has him. If you're playing USC on a neutral field, he likes USC, and you should too. Now we just have to see him do it on the field, at home, on the road. They've got no neutral site games this year. We'll have to wait till the playoffs. All right, until then, and until tomorrow when Locked on USC will be back with another episode. By the way, don't forget when you're done watching this episode, check out Brian Smith on the Portal Show. You can catch that on YouTube. Get on over there to wearesc.com when you're done with the Locked On Network. A lot of content, a lot of good content that we've written for you. I talked about the Inside the Trojan Huddle show. You want to check that out. Tomorrow's episode of Locked on USC. Friday's rant, plus whatever else we got going on with USC. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.